Hey, what's up YouTube? So this is going to be a different kind of video. We're going to be doing a tutorial on how to set up a high-low rig. So before I start tying my high-low rig, I'm going to show you guys how I do it from this angle as you guys are facing me, and then I'll switch it over to another angle where it's as if you're right over my shoulder, just so that you can have a different view or a different point of view of how I tie my high-low rig, because tying rigs can get a little bit complicated and messy. So to start off, you have to have a few things, and what I got here is some swivels, and you could basically get all of these from your local bait and tackle shop. This is a swivel. Need one of these, and then you need some hooks. I'm using circle hooks, and the reason why I like to use circle hooks is because you don't have to set the hook into the fish's mouth. It automatically sets the hook itself. So it's much easier, I guess, to catch fish, at least for beginners. Or you could also say that it increases your hookup ratio, because it kind of eliminates like the human error of setting the hook, because sometimes you could set the hook and you might have did it too early or too late, and you just missed your chance to catch a fish. Whereas a circle hook just basically uh, sets itself into the fish's mouth. You really don't have to do anything. So far we got a swivel, and then we have a circle hook, and then we have to have your weight, any kind of weight. Could you could choose whatever weight you want. This kind of depends on where you're fishing, honestly. And of course, some leader line. You can use fluorocarbon or monofilament line. In my case, I'm using monofilament. What I got here is 30-pound test. Doesn't necessarily have to be 30-pound. It just depends on what kind of fish you're targeting. And just a basic pair of clippers or scissors, it will do just fine. So yeah, now that we got all of the equipment out of the way, um, I'm going to show you how I like to tie my high-low rig. So this is my go-to setup when I use bait, live bait, dead bait, cut bait, like clam, bunker, or worms. So I'm going to take some line out of the spool, and I got my tag end over here. That's my tag end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop like this. My tag end is over here, and I'm going to make a loop. And then what I'll do is I'll run it over both my fingers. And then this is what I have. And then I'll run this over the bottom loop twice. One, and then two. And before I cinch it down, it's always advisable to lubricate the line so that it doesn't burn. Just cinch it down. So now what you got is a loop for your sinker. You got a little bit of tag end, and you would want to cut that off. Clippers. So clip off your tag end, make it look nice. So this loop is going to be for the sinker. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie my sinker on. You just put the loop through the eye. And then push the sinker back into the loop. And there you go. So now I'm going to make another loop, and this is going to be for my hook. Got my sinker over here. I'm going to almost do the same thing as I did before, where just join the two lines, pinch them together to form a loop. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing as I did before. Run the line over both of my fingers. Now I got this. And then instead of wrapping it over twice, I'm going to wrap it over about several times. One, two, three, four, five. I'm just going to do five for the sake of this video. And again, before you cinch it down, you want to lubricate it. Cinch, cinch this down. And now what you got is your sinker on the bottom. And then as you go up, you got your first loop sticking out of the leader line. And you could just make another loop on the top here for your second hook. But if you want to make this loop for your hook a little bit stronger, you could do what's called a T-knot. So this is my loop for the hook, and then I'm going to basically overlap this part of the line and this part of the line. So basically my loop is going to be in the middle right here, and I'll just have them overlap each other. And then from here it's kind of tricky. You're going to want to twist it about 7 or 10 times. So you're doing these twists with the loop out of the way. And then as soon as you get enough twists in, you're going to want to bring the loop through the hole of the twists, and then you want it to poke out. So this is how it looks now. And then, as always, you would want to lubricate the line before you cinch it down. So I don't know if you guys can see, but this is what we're cinching down. To the left side and to the right side of the loop in the middle. So we cinch it down, and then it forms a T. So what this does is kind of like reinforces this area so that the hook could stick out instead of just dangling and possibly getting tangled onto your leader line. Now I'm going to get my hook. Then I will run the loop through the eye, and then run the hook back through the loop, and there you have it. This is your high-low rig. You got the weight over here, and then you got the hook sticking out to the side. So then you would want to take some line out and cut it off the spool. And then at the end of your leader line, this is where you're going to want to attach it to a swivel. And what I would do is I would do a uni knot. It's a fairly easy knot, one of the first knots I learned. There's a bunch of YouTube tutorials on how to tie a uni knot, so I'm not going to go into it right now. But yeah, this is what I would tie to attach my leader line to a swivel. It's a uni knot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Cut the tag end off. And there you have it. This is the final product. I know it's not in frame, but you get the idea. There's a swivel. So there's going to be a swivel at the top. I'm going to explain this in a few seconds. And then you got your main leader line. And then you got your hook with the T-knot. And then you got your sinker on the bottom. So to wrap it all up, you would tie the main line that you're using on your fishing reel, and you would tie that line onto the other end of the swivel to fully complete this process. So yeah, before I go fishing, I would always pre-make my high-low rigs so that I wouldn't have to do it when I'm on the water. So this is where I'm going to switch over the angle of this camera as if you're looking over my shoulder. Alright guys, this is me making the high-low rig from a different angle. I'm going to tie this without any commentary because I already explained everything. So yeah, just sit back and watch me tie a high-low rig. So now I'm holding this loop that I created with both of my hands, and the loop on the bottom, I'm going to put that through the loop on the top that I just created, that I'm holding right now. So I'm going to put it through. And when I'm pulling it through, I got to make sure that the knot right here, where my thumb is rubbing against, is going to pull out all the way through. And as you can see, I'm going to cinch this down. Of course, you gotta lubricate it. And that just formed your T-knot. Now I'm going to get my hook. There you have it. And then you cut it off the spool. You get your swivel, and then you tie a uni knot. And there you have it. So this is the final product. The weight at the bottom of the rig, and as you go up, you got your hook with the T-knot, and then you got your swivel, which is attached with the uni knot. And then on the other end of the swivel, that's where you're going to tie your main line, which is on your fishing reel, with another uni knot. So yeah guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope I was able to help, because there are hundreds of tutorials on YouTube on how to make high-low rigs, but not all videos are able to click with certain people. So yeah, I hope whoever's watching, I hope that I was able to help you guys out.